Hey, Carrie here with the Kickstart Summit. If you haven't registered yet, you want to make sure that you go to that QR code at the top to register. Otherwise, you won't have access to all of the free gifts just off of YouTube. So click that QR code up there and go get registered so you can get all of the goodies. Now, you're going to be super happy with our next guest because we're going to be talking about how to create lasting wealth without burnout or using spreadsheets. And you're going to be super excited to hear these methods. So hang on to your shirts here. Go get yourself a cup of coffee, get yourself comfortable, and get your pen and paper out because there's lots to learn. So stick with us. We'll be ready to go in about 10 seconds. All right, so here we are with Christine Lang. Woohoo! And the crowd goes wild. Christine's a financial expert. She's an international speaker, an international best-selling author, and founder of Lang Financial Consulting and Wealth Solutions, and creating lasting wealth without the burnout and spreadsheets. So her brand and philosophy is all about living a big life and having fun. Sounds like you're my kind of person, Christine. Woohoo! All right, so let's put our hands together for Christine Lang.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I am delighted to be here. And today I'm going to talk about why feeling broke sucks.
I agree. Let's move on from that.
Yeah, let's keep going. So talking about money can feel really vulnerable. And really, most people would rather have a root canal without numbing than talk about their money. And I get it. I was that woman. And I'm going to share with you today how I went from this woman to the woman that I am today. And that transformation did not happen overnight. It took close to a decade for me to figure it out. And today, what I want to show you is how you can get what you want with your money in a fraction of the time. But first, we all work hard to make a good living. We try to do the right things, pay off our debt, save for retirement, maybe even try to save for something a little special. You may even have a budget spreadsheet or a financial planner, and yet something is still not clicking. And you may secretly be wondering, where in the world is all my money going? Why am I so good at making money but not keeping it? Or maybe you're wondering why it seems like everybody else around you is getting ahead, but you still feel stuck in the same place. Well, here's the good news. It's not you. You just don't have the right tools to easily manage your money, and you may not even be aware that it's your story that's running the show behind the scenes. And here's some statistics to back that up. So in a recent Canadian study, shows that Canadians spend $1.86 for every dollar that we earn. And that 85% of us say that living paycheck to paycheck is now our new normal. And this is a tough one. 50% of Canadians could not come up with $2,500 in a pinch. As a financial professional for the last 35 years and the last 16 working with women to create wealth, what I know for sure is that wealth has absolutely nothing to do with the number of zeros in your bank account and everything to do with the stories that we're telling ourselves. And the number one thing that my clients always worry about is if there's going to be enough to send their kiddos to university, enough to pay off their debt, and enough to maybe reasonably retire at a young age. And this worry is the same whether my clients are making $50,000 a year or $250,000 a year. And though our reasons may be different, most of us worry about money. And to say that I worried about money was an understatement. So picture this. It's the first week of grade 11. I am bored out of my face, sitting in remedial math class when I get called to the principal's office. Ooh, interesting. I wonder what I did now. Now, this walk is really quite familiar to me, but I'm a little bit surprised because it's happening so soon in the school year. And frankly, I'm just happy to be out of class and for a while. And from the look on my teacher's face, he's pretty happy for me to be out of his class for a while too. I get to this principal's office, he sits me down, and honestly, I'm wondering why he's so serious. He looks at me, Christy, he says, you have two choices. You can leave voluntarily or you can quit. Okay, I'm shocked. I can't hide my excitement. I can't believe it. I can leave? Where do I sign? I practically skip home thinking I cannot wait to throw this in my mom's face. And while her reaction was exactly what I had hoped for, what she said next really surprised me. She yelled, if you aren't going to school, then you have to work and pay rent. Whoa, I hadn't expected that. And in my 16-year-old wisdom, I spat back, if I'm working and paying rent, it ain't to you. And with that, I left. I had nowhere to live. I had no money and no job. I had no plan at all. And I don't really remember much of what happened in those weeks and months after I first left home. I don't remember where I stayed, but thankfully it wasn't ever on the streets. But what I do remember is partying with dangerous people, working a bunch of crappy part-time jobs, and living in cold, damp basement suites. And I did this for a few years until I found myself hiding in a closet, terrified of the man who was banging on my door demanding money. My boyfriend had made a really bad decision, and now I wasn't sure if I was going to end up in a hospital or a morgue. I knew in that moment I couldn't live like this anymore. Something had to change. And I promised myself that if I got out of that closet unhurt, that I would make that change. And I did. And if my life was going to change, I knew that the first thing would be going back to school. Now, going back to school was a terrifying realization because I had been told my entire life that I was stupid and I was never going to make anything of my life. But I did it anyway. I registered for adult high school, and to my utter astonishment, I liked learning and I was getting really good grades. My B average was a far cry from the D's and F's that I was getting in high school. I had no idea I was smart. And it took bravery and resourcefulness to go back to adult high school and resilience to keep going because all of those student loans were mounting. I was living on my own. So between those loans and working a bunch of minimum wage jobs, I was struggling to make ends meet. And while that was hard, I had to remind myself that the life I was living before was harder. And the day I knew I was fully on my own was when I had gone home and I'd asked my mom for a little bit of help. All I needed was some grocery money, and she said no. I knew there was absolutely no plan B and no safety net. Sink or swim, I was on my own. And I did it. I graduated with a high school diploma, which led to a college, which led to a great job in corporate finance. I was making more money than I could have ever imagined. I had a nice apartment, I had a great sports car, and a smoke and shoe collection. Success story, right? Well, sort of. While I looked like a success on the outside, what people didn't see was the crushing debt I was hiding in order to pretend to be successful. I had so many pairs of shoes in my closet, most of them unworn because they hurt my feet, but they looked amazing. Same with the clothes in my closet, stuffed full with price tags still on. I was overgenerous with my friends. After a dinner out, I would feel the tension of the bill coming, and yet I insisted that I pay for everyone. If they wouldn't let me pay, I'd excuse myself, go to the washroom, and instead find the server and pay the bill. Because you see, the stress of paying that bill paled in comparison to my absolute desperate need to look successful. And for most of my adult life, this overspending left me with crippling shame and guilt, not to mention soul-crushing debt. As a smart, highly educated woman, I quote, should have known better. Did you catch that? Shoulding myself? Yeah, it felt like the walk of shame every time I went to the bank to cash out yet another investment before it matured, to pay for something unexpected, or to pay off my credit card, only to rack it right back up again. And what was worse is I was taking the money from my retirement account and I would beat myself up every single time, I shooting myself all the way to the bank, and every time promising myself I wouldn't do it again. But I did. I did it over and over and over. And it was exhausting. Until that one day, stuffing yet one more unopened credit card bill into an already overflowing drawer of unopened bills and bank statements, it hits me like a ton of bricks. And I sink to my knees, completely crushed by what I had done to myself. I felt like I was wearing a 200-pound concrete vest of shame. Something had to change. I couldn't live like that anymore. And in that moment, I decided to change, reminding myself that when things got really hard, just like when I went back to school, that while this change was hard, the life before I was living before was even harder. And even though those habits were bad for me, they were familiar and it was really easy to slip back into them. But I needed help, more help than I could get from reading books or listening to conversations at work. And keep in mind, this is before Google was a thing. And it really wasn't until I was in my mid-30s that I finally found it. And that help came in the form of an unconventional financial advisor who helped me understand my behavior with my money. It wasn't my fault. You know, I remember her telling me that, Christine, it's not your fault. Now, can you imagine, for a girl who thought everything was her fault? This was astonishing. You know, she felt like an older sister, and she would take my hand and she was making me feel like everything was going to be okay. And in her wisdom, she shared with me that it was my habits and beliefs. They weren't even mine. They were given to me by my family for what they said and didn't say and how they behaved. It was absolutely amazing to learn that I actually had a choice with my relationship with my money. And the story that I was telling myself is that money equals worthiness. And when Janet said to me, Christine, you are worthy of money, I started to feel like maybe this time it was possible. Now I was in charge of my money and not the other way around. I understood that if I wanted true wealth, it had absolutely nothing to do with the amount of money I've made. So today, you are going to have the opportunity to come away with some practical gems of information that I hope will make an impact in your life. And my promise to you is to share 3 foundational concepts that I use with all of my clients when we get started. To do better, you need a better strategy, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get started. First of all, I want you to start dating your money. There's no more ostriching. Whether you avoid your money or you ignore it, denial is not a long-term strategy. And you cannot know where you're going until you know where you're starting. And you may be wondering, like, what in the world are you talking about? Date my money? So I coach my private clients to spend time with their money every single week, to set up a very specific time in a place that is their favorite spot where you won't be disturbed so you can completely focus on your money. And I understand sometimes the idea of looking at our numbers makes us feel like a little bit nauseous, a little gaggy. And this is because we have either been avoiding our numbers or we've been ignoring them. And we're not really sure where our finances stand. And this, I want you to know, is very common. In fact, this was me avoiding and ignoring. It was a double whammy. And it really wasn't until I started dating my money every week that things started to get better. And my clients are finding exactly the same thing. So when you're dating your money each week, you're not only building a relationship with it, but you're also probably changing some of your habits. You may have even created some goals that now you're emotionally invested in. And I'm going to give you some examples in a moment. This emotional investment creates a new story in how you think and feel about your money. Step 2, give your money a job. So you remember these stats I showed you, 56? Yeah. So the reason those stats are there, it's all based in neuroscience. And the neuroscience is that money is not a math problem. If it were, we wouldn't see the stats that I showed you before. It's not a math problem, because it is a lack of conscious spending. And what this means is that it can't be solved through tight restrictions, a budget. Now, many people use their budgeting to try and control spending, but no matter your intent, budgets never seem to work in the long term. Listen, our brains, they are lazy and they want things to be easy, and we suck at mental math. And swiping with your debit and credit card make things very hard, especially if you're sharing your account with someone else. And we also tend to forget about automatic payments that are coming out. And this is why I truly believe that budgets suck. So, what's the solution? Giving your money a job is crucial. So this means setting aside money every single month for things that are important to you, which is very different than just having like an emergency savings account. And here's what I mean. So let's say I have that $5,000 sitting in an emergency savings account, and for a while I stay on track, and then I have an emergency. I have a conference that I'm going to, that I'm speaking at, and I need those really cool boots that are on sale because they're going to make my outfit amazing. Now, I know that I have some money in that quote emergency savings. And because my brain can justify the purchase and maybe even promise to pay it back, but let's be honest, that never happens, I go out and I buy the boots. Now let's change the context around that emergency fund. And now let's call it, I'm taking my family to Mexico in February fund. Now this same boot emergency comes up. Now what are the chances that I buy those boots now? Well, it's very unlikely because that trip to Mexico is more important and I have an emotional tie to it. So instead, I go shopping in my closet, find a great pair of shoes that work absolutely perfectly. I hope this is landing a little bit for you all. Now, another way to give your money a job is to pay off your debt. But I'm going to encourage that this is not the main job for your money. And I know I'm pushing against traditions because everybody says pay your debt first. But my question is, how's that working for you? You know, for most of us, paying off debt feels really good, a huge sigh of relief. But more often than not, and I know this from firsthand experience, is that debt slowly, or not so slowly, racks back up again. And what I know for sure is that what we create, what we focus on, and if we're focusing on our debt, it can't help but grow. Now, as a caveat, I think in some places debt is a good place. There is a good place for debt, but we don't have enough time to cover that today. But maybe then we'll talk about that next time. So what I want to do is to have you focus on wealth creation, not debt creation. So can you see now why giving your money you're giving your money a job is so important, and that having an emotional tie to it is equally as important? Right? I mean, having an RSP or a TFSA or an emergency savings, that doesn't mean anything. Those words don't mean anything to us. But when we attach a reason or a purpose that makes your heart sing, then those savings become empowering. And here are a few things that my clients have done to give their money a job in the past. So I had a client who wanted to quit their full-time gig and start a business that they always wanted. I've had clients who want to work part-time and stay home with the kiddos. I even had a client pass on a promotion because even though it was going to pay them more money, it was going to cause them more stress and take time away from their family. All right, step 3, final step. I want you to break up with your budget because budgets suck. I really, really do. Even if you love your budget, for the most part, they create suffering. I think budgets are like diets, and when you fall down, which we will, budgets just make you feel bad. Just like when you step on the scale after you've had, like, quote, a cheat day, and the number isn't what you want, like, you feel like crap. And budgets don't give you room to dream because you've carefully tried to control every single penny. I don't know. That just doesn't sound like a lot of fun. And you can't have control and freedom at exactly the same time. They're contradictive emotions. I do have clients who know where every single penny is coming and where it's going, but it's like they have a stranglehold on their money, which isn't really an empowering way to feel. And if your hands are gripped closed tight like this, there isn't any way for joy and abundance to come in. And I mean, seriously, who wants to track the price of eggs for the rest of your life? Not me. So, what if you had a method to manage your money that created empowerment rather than shame or guilt? Refreshing, right? So, here's the foundation of your new money management system. It's called the KISS method, but it's KISS with a C, because KISS is for committed. And it's a simple and powerful way to manage your money. So instead of a detailed spreadsheet with lots of numbers to manage, we're going to use what's called committed and emotional expenses as the foundation. And it's based on a percentage of your take-home paycheck. So I'm going to talk about this a little bit. So committed expenses are all of the things that we would never overspend on if they went on sale. Gas, insurance, car payments. We're not going to run out and fill up a bunch of jerry cans when gas goes down in prices, right? We're just going to say, great, I saved $20 today. Investments, they kind of are in that committed bucket, in that these are your longer term savings. So maybe you want to retire, sending your kiddos to university. Savings are also committed because those are for shorter term goals, things like a vacation, a new car, maybe a kitchen reno. And spending is for everything else: groceries, eating out, shopping. And because this method is based on percentages rather than line items, it gives your brain a break. And here are some advantages to the KISS method and why it's so powerful. So number one, it's based on percentages of your take-home income rather than dollars per category. Two, we set up automatic payments for savings and investments so you can finally use your cash and then use cash for all your emotional expenses. Number three, it removes all the need for mental math. And finally, you are using cash for all your emotional spending and all the fun stuff, right? Because we want to have some fun with your money. Now, I just want to take a moment to focus on cash, the cash part of this method. And this is the most powerful tool I can give you today. Cash gives your reasoning part of your brain a chance to catch up with the impulsive part of your brain. And that's the power of cash for emotional purchases. So you know exactly how much you have left every single week. You're likely to make a very different decision if you only have $100 left for this week and you have 3 days before you're going to replenish your cash, especially if you need to buy groceries. 3, there's an immediate pain point to using cash. Now, I can't see you, but I'm going to guess that some of you are going to raise your hand when I ask, has anybody ever used their debit or credit card when they had cash in their wallet? Sure, because we love the feeling of having cash. And number 4, with debit and credit cards, we never know what our balances are, and we do not have that pain point until the statements come in. Now, a lot of my clients come into me feeling very disempowered and disconnected from their money. They continue to live year to year in that duality of feeling bad about their situation and really wanting to get ahead. And this gap between where you are and where you want to be, it can feel like a bottomless pit. Their old ways just aren't working anymore. And when they start to look at their money using the concepts that I've shared with you today, they're feeling like they have more confidence to make better decisions in their life. You know, it took one set of clients doing it their way for almost 5 years and almost losing their home before they finally came to work with me. Now, not only are they comfortable in their home, but they've accumulated over $400,000 as a result of our working together over the last 10 years. I mean, what if you had a system you could manage your money that made you feel empowered today? What if that system was online, easy to use, and you could punch your budget? And what if you had access to my 30 years of experience to easily get to the root of your current money story and create a new context for that story? And I'll tell you what, there's a cost to doing nothing. What will it cost you to be in the same place next year? Will your debt be higher or the same? Will your savings be lower or non-existent? Will you be on this same roller coaster next year? That's why I am so excited to share with you the Money Makeover Program. In these 4 weeks, what you'll discover what's blocking your wealth, and you're going to walk away with a clear strategy to create sustainable wealth. You're going to discover what's been quietly sabotaging your wealth. We're going to flip your money story, and you're going to walk away with a bold strategy. Because wealth is not about the number of zeros in your bank account. It's all about the stories that you're telling yourself. Also, during these 4 weeks of trainings, you'll have access to, like I mentioned, my 30 years of financial experience. We're going to have training calls to cover content, training exercises, and there's always time to ask questions. And there are 3 significant benefits of the Money Makeover Program. So number 1, you're going to start sleeping at night by giving your money a job and shifting your money story. We have proven methods. Over 16 years, I have helped hundreds of clients collectively find more than $4 million in money that's been leaking out of their financial lives. And number 3, you will be leading your money, not the other way around. Now, I mentioned these clients a few moments ago, but these are my clients. I'm going to call them Rob and Janet for privacy, who I just mentioned, and they were in their late 50s, completely stressed out. His business was doing well, but he was using his business accounts as an ATM. She hated her job, but she stayed because 2 of their 3 grown children had just moved home, neither of which were working. So Rob and Janet were now taking care of 2 more people financially. So after including their children in my program, not only are their adult children now on their feet, but Rob and Janet, as I mentioned, have accumulated over $400,000 in wealth. Janet has retired from her job and is working full-time with Rob, and they are loving their life. During the 4 weeks, I'm going to show you how we'll figure out how much cash you have to have on hand to make your spending choices so we can stop your money from leaking away. These are proven strategies and easy to implement. No spreadsheets and no budgets. Now, Georgia is a mother of 2, and her family manages their money separately. She and her husband manage them separately. Georgia really wanted to buy a family cabin, but she didn't have any idea how she was going to get there. Together, we found $2,000 a month that she was spending without even realizing it. Now, she had a closet full of beautiful clothes, and she was going away on girls' trips 3 to 4 times a year. And when she realized where her money was going, and while she was having a great time, it's not really what she wanted. So we took the bulk of that $2,000 and started to tuck it away. And we called it her cabin fund. We also took her quarterly bonuses and added it to the cabin fund as well. And in 2 years, she had managed to save $75,000 towards her buy a cabin fund. All in, we project that she's going to get herself ahead by $287,000 in the next 10 years. And that's after she's bought the cabin. Now, both of these clients had stories they had to overcome. Things like, I hate my job. I can't leave. Money is hard. I make great money and I spend on whatever makes me feel good. My money just does its thing. I don't even think about it. Well, the Money Makeover story is going to uncover your money story and help you figure out what's really important. And as I mentioned, this is what you're going to get. 4 weeks of live online trainings. We're going to cover a different topic every single week. We're going to have in-class working sessions, and if you feel called to share with us. You have live access to me, and like I mentioned, my 30 years of experience. And you'll have laser coaching for your very specific questions, as well as a downloadable PDF that you can use in the future. And I have a bonus for you. So this bonus is lifetime access to my community, where you get to connect with like-minded women and receive informal coaching because your questions are answered by me, not somebody from my staff. And that's a value of $500. Now, by joining the program today, we'll find you the money to invest in this program. It's a small investment for a lifetime of benefits. So think about this. If I found you $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year or $60,000 over 10 years. And on average, I find $1,500 for my clients. More than enough. And I have a fast acting bonus, and this is kind of the secret sauce. So if you register today, before the end of the day, I'm going to give you access to my Money Finder software. And this software automates that KISS method. So again, we're giving your brain a break by system do it for you. And it's also going to calculate your weekly amount. It's going to is leaking out and how much will get you ahead in the next 10 years. Remember Georgia and her $2,000 a month? Rob and Janet, their $400,000 in real wealth? Well, their incredible results all started with the money finding software. Now, I just want to share one more success story, and this is Jen. This makes me so happy. So Jen wanted to shift her focus in her business. And after taking a look at her money and using the Money Finder software, we found $9,000 buried in her finances. And we were able to find an additional $197 a month in expenses she didn't need to have anymore. Now she has the capital to fund the next chapter of her life and $197 that can go towards more important business expenses. So here's the total value of the Money Makeover. Looks like we missed a slide around the 4-week course, but the cost of the 4-week course is $2,000. Access to my community, $500. That's the value. And the Money Finder program, if you sign up right away, its value is $1,500. That's a total of $4,000 in terms of the value of this program. And generally, we find that within the first 2 months of working together. Now, you're not going to pay $4,000 for this program. The total investment in this program is $1,497. $1,497. But I have a very special surprise for all of you here who have joined. Is because you're a part of this event, I want to offer you a one-time special, today only bonus. And that is, drum roll please, total investment today is not $1,497, it's $497. But to take advantage of it, you have to register today. And it must be by the end of the day. After today, it bumps back up to the $1,497. So are you ready to take the first steps towards what you really want? Are you ready to have a life full of joy rather than stress? Because I'll tell you what I know for sure is your big life does not start with a spreadsheet. It starts with a hell yes. So if you're tired of doing things the hard way, register now and start having fun with your money. And I just got to tell you, you got this. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Okay, so we'll cut out this little clip here. All right. I just want to, do you have your gift and your VIP gift or anything?
I don't have the QR codes for them yet. No.
But you do know what they are, right?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
All right. All right. So let's just jump back into that. All right. So that's fabulous, Christine. Great offer. Fabulous special for today only. And that is the first day that the video goes live. After that, it's going to go up to $1,400 again, and you have to reach out to Christine to get it personally, and her contact information will be in the video description. But right now, Christine, I know during the summit that we have going on right now at this moment, you have a free gift for everybody who is going to be part of the summit. And by the way, to get that, there's a QR code up at the top to register to get the free gift. Christine, what's your free gift today for everybody who just came into the summit?
My free gift is what's your money personality? It's a few questions that you'll answer to figure out if you are a spender, are you a struggler, or are you a planner? It's a cute little quiz, and it's always kind of fun. I like to do it with my friends and family too, because we're surprised by what our money personality is.
Cool. All right. So to find out what your money personality is, click on the QR link up there. Open it up, go register for the summit so you can get access to that link and pick that up. Now, I also know that you have a VIP gift for those that take the VIP gift during the summit, and that will be available for probably a few weeks after the summit as well. It'll be up there. So again, you can just register using that link if you see this later. But Christine, what's your VIP gift today?
My VIP gift is an ebook called 5 Wins to Stop Leaking Money. It's a short, easy to read, fun, quirky, kind of cheeky introduction to a different way to think about your money.
Awesome. Okay, so we got lots of cool stuff, and there's more coming up. So you want to continue watching on the playlist today and over the term of the summit, which is 3 days long, and it'll continue to play after that. So just keep watching and find out more, learn more about how to kickstart your business in 2026. And stay tuned for our next speaker. Thanks for being with us today, Christine.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a delight.